Guys, welcome to another episode of Costa Rica Real Estate and Investments with me, your host, Richard Beckson. This is going to be episode 72. Today, we're going to be talking with Aaron Vanecek. Aaron has been a long-time resident of Costa Rica for over 20 years. Over this time, he's worked for a variety of multinational companies, and for the past 10 years has worked with me at Namu Travel Group. Who I'm sure you all know. Again, I'm one of the owners of that company. So today we're going to be talking to Aaron basically about living and working in Costa Rica. I thought it would be good. There's been a few requests to get a little bit more information on kind of relocating to Costa Rica and also the opportunities to work down here, whether it be for a remote company in the US, a remote company in another country, but while living here in Costa Rica. Remember, guys, if you need any help with anything, we're getting quite a few people reaching out to us. info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. We help people basically make the right investment choice here in Costa Rica, whether that may be land, property, hotels, building, project management as well. Recently, 2 days ago, had an engineer and project manager start with us just because a lot of our clients are looking for some help running through kind of having their hands held through the process of buying land all the way through to actually finalizing their home. So we kind of draw everything together from, making sure we have all the correct documents, architects, all the engineers, interior designers, landscape designers, construction companies. So kind of really just bringing it all together. We're pretty organized on this side. So kind of just sit above the project, just making sure everything is going well and that, people are making the right decision there. Also helping people find land here and investing in real estate to really understand, again, vacation rentals, returns that they could have, or just, again, thinking about an exit strategy. Everybody gets excited on the way in when buying, but not many people think about exiting and how to exit. So we kind of give people a little bit of options when they're looking at properties, what you could do with it. But anyway, remember, if you want to reach out to me, it's Richard. It's info@investingcostarica.com. That's info@investingcostarica.com. But let's get straight into it here with Aaron. Good afternoon, Aaron. How are you?
I'm doing great. Another beautiful day in, I guess, sunny Costa Rica. Perfect time of the year to be here. So I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Good. It's sunny over here in Heredia as well. I know that you're over there in Turrialba, beautiful part of the country. I think quite a few people have no idea where Turrialba is. I mean, how would you describe its location?
When people ask me where it is, I always say it's about an hour and a half southeast of the capital. So, and it's also on the old route to the Caribbean before they built the new super highway, which isn't that super, but is improving. So hopefully it'll be super in the next year or two.
Exactly. So, well, Aaron, you've been in Costa Rica for many years. How many years have you been?
I have. I've lost count, but it's approaching 18, 19, maybe 20.
Wow.
I've been here since 2007 consecutively. So there's 15 right there.
Wow. Well, I mean, over the past 2 years, it's been pretty crazy. I know we've been on that roller coaster together, but specifically talking about the last 6 months, what have you seen that's really surprised you about Costa Rica in general?
Well, Costa Rica in general, the last 6 months is a couple of different things. One is that unlike my home country, people lining up in droves to get their vaccines as soon as they fly them into the country. It seems like with every load of new vaccines, there are lines at all the public hospitals and clinics to get their vaccines. So they all followed the recommendations to get the vaccines and did that. But more in what concerns me with regards to my job as one of the sales managers here at Namu Travel is the way that travel demand has bounced back much quicker than we could have ever imagined or forecasted to be true. That's 6 months of being really crazy busy, which is a good thing after the initial hit of COVID back in 2020, where it was touch and go for a while.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting, put it that way. It was like riding a wave, like a tidal wave with your eyes closed and your hand tied behind the back, and you weren't too sure whether you were going to do it or not. But we did it.
We have amongst all of us. Remember that time we were selling vacations in a pandemic?
Yeah.
Well, with the borders closed? Yep. Well, that was us. Here we are.
Great war stories. So
we're just too stubborn to go away, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we got nothing else to do, right? What do you, I mean, let's just jump into talking about kind of moving here to Costa Rica again. You've been here for quite a while, but what do you think is one of the most, what is one of the things that most people should be aware of when moving to Costa Rica that maybe they're not aware of?
Well, one of the biggest things is the cultural differences moving down here. You come down to Costa Rica as a tourist, and you get this amazing service at hotels and restaurants and tours, and you think, hey, I'm going to get amazing service wherever I happen to go. And then when you get down here, you realize the concept of time is literally different. There's, everything can be done tomorrow, and there's not really any rush for anything except, punching out of work at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. Then there's a rush, right? Or get to your coffee break on time. But I think if people can understand that time has a different concept in terms of the culture, that's one of the big things. Things don't work as efficiently down here as they do with regards to, I mean, you're in real estate, so you know that processing titles and doing due diligence and just getting permits.
Yep.
It's a whole world of hurts if you're new to this. If you're used to it, then you kind of accept it for what it is.
Yeah, I always say there's a bit of a dance you have to do before asking any locals here for anything in order to do work. It's kind of like, how are you? How's your day? Yeah.
That happens internally in the company. Most of our travel consultants are expats and used to being very direct and asking for things. And most of our operational staff is Costa Rican. So I often have to train my salespeople on how to ask a local for something. And it does have a lot of, what do you call it? I don't want to use that word, but you have to do a little dance into ebook.
Well, I think
it's saying.
Do you remember the movie?
How was your day? How's your mother?
Yep. Do you remember the movie, The Wolf of Wall Street, where
absolutely
like in Switzerland, where they're sat down, where Jordan Belfort wants to go straight into business, and he's like, oh, here in Sweden we have 10 minutes of small talk before we actually ask for something. It's very similar to that.
Yeah, that happened to me recently with a hotel that I really needed space at for one of my clients, and I hadn't. The client had confirmed that they wanted to book, and there was one room that wasn't kind of allotted to us. So I called the hotel partner and spoke to the guy for probably 10, 20 minutes before asking for the space to kind of butter him up. And he said yes. So that was a nice.
Yeah, I think as long as people can understand that and that things are a little bit slower here, but I think a lot of the time people are moving here for a little bit, like, I mean, you mentioned there that, as soon as they had vaccines here, people did what they were told. And I was having lunch today with a friend of mine, and I was like, Ticos are pretty obedient when it comes to their government, whereas us in more the Western world seem to question everything. But it's still a pretty liberal country, even though that they do that. But I think as long as you're aware, it's a pretty relaxed country, rules are guidelines, and things don't happen as quickly. But like, if you're moving here for the weather and you want kind of like an American culture, you might as well live in Florida or California or somewhere. Whereas like, this is a completely different culture, different language.
Different culture, different language. And one of the things that I see for expats that come down here and fail as expats and then just return to the United States is because they don't embrace the culture and they don't embrace the locals. They stay in their little insular pockets of expats where there's, of course, language. It's not easy to learn a second language very quickly, but if you end up having this snowball of complaints on what's wrong here and how it's so much worse than certain aspects of the US, to which I always say, why did you move down if everything was better in the US or whatever country you might happen to be in? So that's another one of my recommendations when you move down here is try to make some local friends.
Yeah.
Right? So that you can understand what the culture's about and maybe get a little different perspective on why Costa Ricans are so happy. Yeah. One of the reasons they're so happy is because they do live in paradise and they just kind of take it day by day.
Yeah, I mean, again, we spend a lot of our time thinking about the future, which makes us more anxious and more stressed, whereas, they're kind of just living day by day, week by week. So, but I think it's easy for them really, it's just because, I think someone said it to me a while back was, here is the sun always shines and there's always food, but in the northern world, the northern world gets cold, dude, in the northern hemispheres. So, we can't think about tomorrow because tomorrow it may be freezing cold and there might not be any food. So we always need to constantly prepare.
Hey, I'm originally from Minnesota, so we have to, you don't get in your car in the winter without a blanket and an extra energy bar and battery cables to jump your car and things like that. So absolutely, we come from generations of planning for the doldrums of winter, when in Costa Rica it's like, hey, mangoes are in season. Oh, just cut this one down. I got something to eat. Don't need to worry about that.
Exactly. Well, let's change gears a little bit and talk about working in Costa Rica, because I know that you've had a couple of jobs while you've been here. I mean, in your opinion, what do you think are the best jobs available? And also, what are options? Because just say, if I've got residency here, yes, I can potentially take a job depending on, what residency I have. But say I want to live here and I kind of want to work remotely, what jobs are available?
Well, I mean, it's obviously, one of the best jobs available is come work for us, right? But in addition, which we'll get into that later, but it seems like, especially one of the nice changes with COVID, is a lot of people have learned that they can work remotely no matter what their job is, unless you need to have face-to-face contact with people. So I think, a lot of the customer service jobs where it's only over email and over the phone, you can easily work remotely. My jobs prior to Namu travel were regional positions where I was living in Costa Rica, but traveling around working for different, IT and consumer electronic companies. But that's a little bit different, because for that, you need to know the language. You need to have certain skills that are not just coming down here and saying, okay, I want to install. But mainly, if whatever you're doing right now, if you're sitting in front of a computer screen with a phone and an internet connection, you can do that from Costa Rica just as well as you can do from Chicago or Dallas.
Yeah, I think the one thing that people need to aware as well, I mean, if you don't spend more than 30 days a year in the US, you don't actually pay taxes, I think, up to $115,000. Meaning that you could be down here working. You're not residing in
that is correct.
Mm-hmm. So it's a great way.
Yeah, it's the foreign earned income exemption. That is you don't pay anything on that first 115, 117K. So yeah. But you do need to spend 330 days outside of the US. Otherwise,
well, I mean, Costa Rica is not a bad place to spend 330 days, right?
So. Not at all. I've been spending way past that.
Exactly. Well, I mean, again, I think that, it used to be that, like, when you came down here, if you didn't have residency, I mean, there really wasn't that many jobs. Maybe you could pick up a bar job here and there, but there really wasn't like huge amounts of availability. I think now with the world moving more towards this digital nomad, remote working, I mean, there are tons of jobs that you can have online. So you can live down here in Costa Rica and work for a company up in the US or wherever and still earn good money, live like a king down here. But let's specifically plug Namu Travel here, because I know that that's kind of exactly. I know that that's both a bit of our passions there. But I mean, I know that we went from 2020 from basically selling vacations during a pandemic to 2021 going, how do we keep up with this demand, to now 2022 going, this is going insane. I mean, it's, what would you say at the moment, 50% larger than probably what we're expecting on previous years, 25?
Absolutely. I mean, we kind of prepared our sales team and our operations team for forecasted sales and reservations, and we far surpassed that. So we're going through some growing pains thinking, as travel demand continues to roar back and people have been cooped up for 2 years and they want to travel and they're vaccinated, or they're just thinking, hey, we're not vaccinated, we no longer need to be vaccinated to travel, then let's go. So working for us, we are experiencing where we're having almost more demand than we can keep up with. So we're just going to continue to grow in a kind of a healthy way so that we can still service our clients as best we can. And that involves precisely what we were talking about as what is the ideal job working remotely. Well, it is, being on the phone with clients, it is answering emails or instant messaging with them. But the nice thing about our job specifically is not only do you get to work from home, I'm at my house right now in my home office, but we get to go out and see these amazing world-class hotels and rentals and tours that are, some of the best in the planet. There's really some just amazing jaw-dropping properties that even most of the locals don't get to see, right? So the fringe benefit of us that we actually have to go and inspect, quality control, I call it. So we have to sacrifice ourselves to go and share the product for our clients.
It's a tough job, but somebody has to do it, dude.
Hey, I'm more than willing to sacrifice as much as my clients need me and go try and sleep at all these places.
I always say, I always try, people always ask me kind of like, what's the culture like at Namu? And I always be like, look, I think the word seriously casual really sums it up, like very, very serious about what we do. I always tell people that like, look, it's basically a kind of US cultured business with a US sales marketing engine and operations here in Costa Rica. Just we've decided to be in travel because it's amazing, because we get to see people at their best. It's just and yeah, I mean it's a great industry to be in. Like there are fun people in the industry.
And yeah, and I think we're also serious about providing the best experience for our clients. A lot of times people will come down with a preconceived notion, but the fact that we live down here, we know that coming down and spending 7 to 10 days at just an all-inclusive on the beach, sipping Mai Tais and margaritas, that's not a way to experience Costa Rica. So we can guide people in that direction. There is the opportunity to do that for a few days, but the fact that we're not order takers and we don't say, hey, come and what do you want to do? We say, what do you want to experience, or what do you like to do on other trips? And then we tailor make that towards them. And that we have a lot of pride in it. We always try to do right by our clients. So we're really serious about getting it right as well, which is what I kind of take pride in. And all of our sales, all of our travel consultants on the staff think exactly the same way. And if they don't, there's really no place here for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar, again, what I do on the real estate investment side, which is, everything's customized to what the client's wants are. It's a little bit of a different transaction because it's not a vacation. But again, there's a lot of that lifestyle part in it. I mean, like you guys spend quite a bit of time trying to understand, what the client experience they're looking for. I also look for that when I'm speaking to clients of like, what is the lifestyle? What are your daily activities? What do you like to do? Because that's going to really define the area, what the property's like and all of that. So yeah, we never really left it. It's just we transplanted it from one part of the business to the other.
Exactly. And that's, we both have that ability to say no, right? We're not yes people say, oh yeah, for sure, I can get you that.
Yep.
All the time I have conversations and say, hey, that's actually a terrible idea for coming to Costa Rica. They want to hit, every volcano in 6 days. And it's like, wait a second, there's a lot of good volcanoes down here, but let's not spend all the time driving around curvy roads.
Exactly. I mean, what does a travel consultant do? How much money can they earn? Like just to give the listeners, because again, I mean, one of the reasons I did this was I wanted to really plug Namu and like the job down here. A lot of people are looking to relocate down here and earn good money, and I think this is one of the very few jobs available, where you can sell Costa Rica or sell Central America and earn good money. Well,
I mean, it's always an advantage to sell something that everybody wants, right? And everybody wants a vacation to Costa Rica. And you're not going to run into somebody on the street and say, hey, do you want to go vacation to Costa Rica? And hear somebody say no, because Costa Rica is an amazing experience. So that's the first stop. It's a product that people want. And of course, it's a product that has a certain price point that might be out of the range depending upon what type of experience you're looking for. But a day-to-day travel consultant, it really depends on the time of the year. Right now, we're super busy, and it means long hours and long days for a few months, because that's when our travel demand is the highest. So my day starts with, usually being online by about 7:30 or 8, reaching out to my sales team to see what they need. And I know that my travel consultants start following up with people right then. We're also developing leads or people that make inquiries with us from day to day. And then we reach out to them with a phone call and an email and get an idea of what they're looking for, build them those custom itineraries, and then, get feedback from start customizing those more, day to day. I mean, it can be a long work week with a little bit of weekend work in high season, but then it tapers off when, summer months in May, it starts dropping off for about 6 months. So it's not quite as many hours, and because there's not quite as much demand. We'll see this year because it's going to be kind of a different kind of thing.
So the big question in terms of how much money can I earn?
Well, that's the compensation, and that's it's a commission only job. So
after a certain number of months, right? After training.
Well, no, after a certain number of months, there is a stipend and things to get people going.
And that goes for 4 or 6 months. That stipend.
It starts out with about 4 to 6 months, depending upon the position and the time of year you're starting. But then what you're doing is you're making, a commission based on your sales. And that's kind of how well you can connect to people, how well you can gain somebody's trust. That's always very important to any sales game is, can the person trust you? Unfortunately, we run a business that is very trustworthy. Nobody lost a single penny during the pandemic for money that they put into the vacations.
Yeah.
And so then I would say that, starting out, you're making anywhere from, on the low end, a couple $1,000s a month, but then as you get more established, then you're looking at the 3 or 4, but then really successful travel consultants can make upwards of 6 figures just by working hard and connecting well with people. It's all about how the skills. So it's, in terms of expat jobs in Costa Rica, there are a few that reward and compensate their successful employees like we do.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I always think that, again, salespeople should be some of the best paid people in the business, because again, they take a lot of risk, and typically work their butts off. No offense to any non-salespeople out there, but yeah, I mean, it's, if you're going to go,
you do have to be pretty resilient, because you get a lot more no's than yeses. We're not the only game in town with regards to destinations. Sometimes people choose a country in Europe, although not right now. Yep. And then, or an island in the Caribbean or in the South Pacific. But, fortunately with Costa Rica, it's an amazing location. I'm always surprised by the people I speak to after they travel to Costa Rica, and guests of ours that I know are well-heeled travelers that say to me, Aaron, that was the best vacation of my life.
Yeah.
And part of it's due to Costa Rica, and part of it's the way we do Costa Rica, right? We make sure that everything's taken care of. Once you land, you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
And if you have an issue, we have a local concierge team to take care of it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's jump back into kind of living more here in Costa Rica. I mean, is there anything else that you think might be a misconception that people have about living or relocating to Costa Rica?
One of the biggest misconception is the cost of living.
Yep.
People have the idea that Costa Rica is a third world country. Spoiler alert, it is not. It's, for all intents and purposes, a developed nation. And things are pretty much everything down here is a little bit more than you would expect, and in many cases a lot more than what it costs in the US if you're coming from the US. Cars, electronics, clothes, all of that is much cheaper in the US than it is in Costa Rica. But the advantage down here is labor is much cheaper. So as much as I enjoyed back in the States mowing my own lawn, it's cheaper for me to hire somebody and pay him who already has a lawnmower than buy my own lawnmower.
Washing your car, cleaning your home,
cleaning services. Yeah, I always do the calculations. Like, I should go out and do my yard myself. But then I do the calculation of, okay, I'm going to pay this guy $40 to do and manicure my lawn. I could spend that time working. So
or I could grab a beer and watch him do it.
Oh, I'll say that's also, I could sit in my hammock and watch him do it. It makes me feel a little bit lazy though. So
yeah, I get you. But he's probably going to do a better job than you, and you're providing a job.
Well, that's my Midwestern in me. That's, Minnesota, you got to do stuff yourself. It's that Scandinavian upbringing and German upbringing from the Midwest where you got to do it yourself. But you get down here and you get a little lazy for that kind of stuff.
Definitely. Well, what is your favorite area of Costa Rica to go to, Aaron?
I'd say there are 3. Near me, there's a river called the Piri River. That's one of my happy places in Costa Rica. So it's probably the best river to go rafting on. So just escaping there with no cell phone, no computer, no Wi-Fi, and just being immersed in nature, I really love a lot. And then I also love the southern Pacific coast of Costa Rica, down in the Golfito or the Peninsula Osa area, because that is still underdeveloped and kind of the Costa Rica that I remember when I came down for the first time in 1991. And then I'd say my third most favorite location is probably the far northwest area of Costa Rica, in the Guanacaste area, kind of where there's a big all-inclusive hotel there now. But back when I went down there, that was kind of my home base, where an exchange student who kind of became my adopted brother was from. So my first experiences in Costa Rica were there. So I was kind of like, hey, there's everybody knows my name, even if I don't know them. So it's like going home. So because I've been going up there for 30 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you inherited $500,000, this is the question I always ask everyone. If you invested $500,000 and had to invest it into a business or real estate in Costa Rica, what would you do with it and why, Aaron?
Well, I'd actually, there's two things I would do. I mean, one would be I would probably try to see if I could sneak into a duplex or something like that in the northwestern Guanacaste beach area. And if I could do that, have one that's full-time rental, doing, an Airbnb or VRBO, and then another that's not quite as focused. So I could use it every once in a while, maybe work from there for a little while. But as my daughter's getting a little bit older, she's 16 and a junior in high school, I would probably put a little bit of money into a split it just for my own personal investment, a condo or a townhouse in the capital where the universities are, and another little hobby farm outside of where I live. So I could have my daughter have a place to go to school, to stay when she goes to the university, and then also a little hobby farm so I can get out of the city, because you live near the capital, and the best thing about living in the capital is hopping on the highways that lead their way out. Right? So
I'm doing it this weekend.
Is kind of key.
Doing it this weekend. I'm going to the mountain for 3 days.
There you go. It's great.
Exactly. Well, Aaron, thank you very much for taking the time out of what I know is a very busy day. Anyone that wants to reach out to Aaron or to apply for a job at Namu Travel, I'll put all the contact details in the description. The company is Namu Travel. Here in Costa Rica is vacationscostarica.com, but I'll place all the contact details in the description. And really appreciate your time, Aaron.
Thank you very much, Richard. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and I hope you see you in person for a few beers pretty soon.
Sounds good, buddy. Hey guys, great interview there with Aaron Vanecek, sales manager for Namu Travel Group. Again, anyone that's potentially moving down here, lives down here, is looking for a job. I'm biased, of course, but again, it's one of the best jobs, I would say, probably that you can do remotely while living anywhere in Central America or living here in Costa Rica. Luxury travel, like a custom designer of vacations to Costa Rica is not bad. Traveling to hotels and also earning pretty good money. I mean, some of those guys earn, upwards of, close to $200,000 a year. It's pretty insane. And get to stay in luxury hotels for free. So you actually don't get to spend money on vacations. But again, anyone that wants to reach out to me, you can do info@investingcostarica.com, info@investingcostarica.com. If you want to take a look at the Namu Travel website, you can just go to namutravel.com or go to their Costa Rica website, which is vacations, plural, vacationscostarica.com, guys. Have a good day, have a good week, and I'm sure I'll be speaking to some of you soon. Thanks.